welcome to the second part of In Touch, Crime Beat, where we talk about criminal justice news and views. I'm Officer Don with Collins Attorney Ray Larson. Ray, we talk a lot about burglars, and we always classify them as a property crime because a lot of them are, but, you know, a lot of very serious crimes happen, even more serious crimes happen after they get into some of these homes. A lot of rapes, you know, you have a burglary and a rape charge. This case, this video voyeurism case is creepy. This dude from the Mad Hatter that you've been dealing with. Tell us about that case.
Well, Terry, it was December 2009. There was a reported burglary in progress. Apparently, some young woman had been over on Crescent Avenue, I think is the name of the street, had been taking a shower, came out, oops, and here's this guy. His name is Terry Grossman, and he had just come in her house. Well, she screamed, carried on at a great rate, and he left. And she called it in as a burglary, and it was reported to the patrol officers as a burglary in progress, and they showed up. And they got a good description of his vehicle, and had a number of stickers on the back and so forth. And he came back by.
While the cops were there?
Yeah. Oh, no. Maybe it was when the cops.
Anyway, he drove back by her place and
yeah.
they spotted.
And they stopped him and started talking to him, and then all of a sudden, Josh Masterson was the detective. The patrol officer brought him down to headquarters, and they started interviewing him. And he had a camera, digital camera, and that sort of thing in his car, and so forth. And they asked him if they could look at the camera, and he said, yeah, and they did, and they started seeing a lot of these images. Then they found his cell phone. Can we look at that? Yeah. And they found images of some young college-age women that were naked, and it was obvious they were looking in a bedroom. And so ultimately, turns out that this guy had been peeping, peeping Tom, although that's not what it's called in Kentucky. It's called video voyeurism. And they did a lot of forensic examination of his laptop computer and his cell phone. He was ultimately charged with burglary in the second degree for breaking into this house to commit a crime. And he was charged with this video voyeurism. Now, Officer Don, with your permission, I've asked Corey Allison Lee to come to In Touch today. She's our newest prosecutor. And
was this your first case here recently? The prosecuting with Ray's office?
Yes. I just had my first. Well, I just had my first jury trial last week with another prosecutor in the office, Shauna Kinser. There was a guy, Richard Butcher is his name, and he was charged with receiving stolen property, over $500, and fleeing and evading police. And basically what happened, he stole a car from a Thornton's. A guy had run in to grab something, left the keys in the ignition. He stole a car. He was out joyriding and running around all over town. An officer saw him. He'd run a couple of stop signs, tried to pull him over, and he actually crashed his car into a fence, went and ran and jumped in the back of a truck to hide, and then they called the K-9 unit and they were able to find him. So we had a trial last Tuesday. He was convicted of receiving stolen property, fleeing and evading police, and the jury actually recommended. He's also a persistent felony offender. Okay. He has 6 prior felonies. Wow. Yeah, and so he was actually convicted on all of those charges and got 18 years in the penitentiary.
I'm curious, a case like this, okay, that appears from the outside to be open and shut. The guy is caught in a stolen car running from the police, right? How is that defended from a defense attorney's perspective? What did you have to deal with? Number one, a thing that comes to my mind is, did it come up that the person left the keys in the car so they didn't really steal it?
It came up.
Take the stand?
He did not take the stand, but
she doesn't have to.
He didn't have to, and he said that he had been that it wasn't him in the car, and then he had actually laid down in the back of that
Okay,
truck
I
and
gotcha.
fallen asleep.
I guess that's what I was curious. Of course, now he said that's when he probably talked to the police.
Right.
Right. It was.
And-
I wasn't driving. There was a mystery driver. This is.
and even though they found him and he was sweating and it was
I
about
gotcha.
60
So
degrees
that's
outside
right.
and muddy,
I get
he'd
it.
been
So
sleeping in the back of the
It
truck
wasn't
and out
me.
of breath.
I just happened to be
Right.
asleep in the truck.
Yes.
And I woke up, and the next thing you know, we're in this police pursuit. It crashes. I'm scared. I'm scared of the police. I don't know what's going on, so I run because he ran, right?
He ran.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what we sort of. So that's how these things work.
Well, and you know, it seems so open and shut.
Mhm.
It does to me and to, but you know, we have the burden of proof
Sure.
as the Commonwealth, and we have to prove every single element of those crimes to the jury beyond a reasonable doubt. So as open and shut as it sounds, it's just that's one thing that I've learned about being a prosecutor.
No such thing. That's right.
I mean, really detail. The jury wants to know. The jury needs to know.
Mhm.
And so, you know, as open and shut as it sounds, going through every element and making sure they know that this
Well,
is the correct charge and this is what he should be convicted of.
The other question that I have is if he doesn't testify, how did the jury come to hear that he fell asleep in the back of the truck?
Actually, we got it through. There was an officer, Banford Hill,
Okay,
was
so
the
the
officer.
interview, through the
so
interview. Okay.
so through that testimony.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Well, congratulations and thanks for protecting us
Well,
against this car thief.
it's my honor.
And the 6 felonies before that, you know, man, of course the jury doesn't they don't hear about the 6 felonies until after they convict him of this crime, and then during sentencings, I guess they get to talk about his
Right,
his
and you would
past.
be amazed going through all of the crimes he's committed, 6 of which are felonies. Fleeing and evading police,
Mhm.
receiving stolen property, theft. I mean, you know, he's
a-
a career criminal. This is what he does. And the 1 to 5 years that he would have gotten on just solely the fleeing and evading and the receiving, you know, that's not enough for this guy. The 18 years on the PFO is you know, certainly what he deserves.
That sounds fair to me.
Then he's eligible for parole after 20%.
Okay. Yeah, now see, you have to be a buzzkiller. Now you've taken it. We're having fun. Well, you know, that's an interesting case, and the point of it is there's no such thing as an open and shut case. That's what you guys, and you know what, maybe there shouldn't be. I mean, you know, look, maybe if, you know, there's a slim chance the guy may have fallen asleep in the back of the truck.
Wrong.
I'm just saying.
The lesson, one of the big lessons in cases like this is the fact that people leave their car at the gas station when they go in. They leave the keys in. A lot of people leave their car running.
Mhm. And which itself you can be cited for, by the way.
Sure.
Too. No, you can get a ticket.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever given
Have
somebody
I ever
a
left
ticket?
my car running? Yeah. Ever given a ticket for it? No, I haven't. But I don't do that anymore because I've seen too many times what happens when you do that. So, this is what happened here. So it's interesting stuff. Sign up for more criminal justice news and views with Ray's newsletter. You can go to LexingtonProsecutor.com right now, and we talked about earlier the video of the voyeurism guy being sentenced with Judge Clark. That's interesting stuff. It's actual courtroom video. A lot of neat things on the website for you to check out if you're interested in what's happening in our criminal justice system. We'll see you next week on In Touch. Good.